Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Growth Group Videos, Holiday Edition, Christmas Edition, a little cranberry ginger ale for us here. Woo! Just gonna go ahead and take a sip right now. So good.
So good.
And we are so excited that you're there. You're in group this week and you're gonna make things happen. So it was kind of a crazy week because, well, this message was a little tag team between Sarah and I, and I think that it was great. You did awesome, and it was fun.
Did we nail it better than the cooks on the show nailed it?
No, that was bad. Oh my gosh.
But
Anyway, well, we are gonna throw some questions your way, get you guys discussing some things, and we really focused on the idea of getting in the gap. I mean, if there was anything that we really wanted to focus on, it was get in the gap. And we looked at Nehemiah, and we kind of focused in on how awesome it is when we can trust that people have our back, you know? So I don't know. Yeah, I think that there's been times in our life when we've seen that happen, and it's been really special, but there's probably been more times than not we have no idea.
Right. So maybe talk about amongst yourselves when a time that somebody stood in the gap for you, had your back, made sure that you had the help that you needed, or you just felt supported. So think about it.
And I'll say this, bonus points if you didn't know it at the time. I don't know why there's bonus points, but
right. And
but
like maybe they never found out. So
maybe yeah. I mean, do you have a sense that is there a sense that there's been times when somebody had your back and man, you didn't even really know about it? I don't know. Like that's a weird question, but get after it right now. Tell a story. Think of a time. Talk about that. A time when somebody or some people had your back and came through for you. All right, pause the video. Okay, so she was taking another sip of that cranberry ginger ale. We wanted to just kind of double back to the passage from Nehemiah. If you weren't at the services on Saturday or Sunday, you can always pick them up online. But it may be helpful prior to this next question for you guys to read Nehemiah chapter 4, verses 13 through 15 before you get into this question. So I'll leave that up to your leader to be able to kind of take a poll as to if everybody remembers it because they were there or not. And if there's
refresh your memory.
Refresh it. Or if there was people that were not able to make it, it might be helpful to kind of refresh them as well about what we talked about. So that would be first, Nehemiah chapter 4, verses 13 through 15. And here is the question. We talked about really 5 things. So I'll go first. Getting in the gap.
Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid while you're in the gap. Then remember the Lord while you're in the gap. Then fight for your family. And lastly is do your own work. Do your own work. So not working on part of the wall over there, but the part of the wall that you've been assigned to. Part of the work that you've been assigned to in your actual life. In their case, it was the wall. In our case, it's particular assignments that we have that we feel like God has given us. So out of those 5 things, here's the question. Which one do you find to be the hardest? Being in the gap and not trying to fix everything around you?
Not being afraid?
Not letting fear control you? Remembering the Lord? Trying to remember Him and what He said, what He promised would be true one day?
Fighting for your family, not against them?
Yeah. Is that most difficult for you? Or is it really doing your own work and trying not to fix everybody else around you? So those 5 things, what is the most difficult thing to do when you're in the gap? And based on Nehemiah chapter 4, verses 13 through 15. You guys can go ahead and pause the video. So I am sure that was a good discussion because there's a lot there, and those 5 things have their challenges. Each one of them have their own unique challenges. So, but we wanted to kind of add into your group tonight a New Testament verse that seems to go very well with what we've been talking about this week, and that is 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 14 through 19. Now, there's a little bit before verse 14 and a little bit after verse 19, but we think
the overachievers.
For the overachievers, but we think that those 5 or 6 verses are really kind of the core of what we're wanting you guys to discuss, and it's really about the body of Christ and all of the members of the body having a different function and how we all work together, and there's unity in that. So, take a moment to maybe even compare and contrast what you see in Nehemiah and them in verse 13 being positioned by family around the wall, creating kind of a unity, and then what you see in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 14 through 19, and what you see there. I think that there's some relationship there between the two, and I think it would be great for you guys to take a moment to discuss, and so we're going to ask you to do that now. All right, this is our final question for the night. We think it's actually one that is very, very practical because, well, we feel it a lot. So I think it's going to be a good discussion question.
I think all of these have probably been hard if you've been honest with yourself about how you work through these things. And it's hard to take the time to just be real with your thoughts and your feelings. But I think one of the things that we hit on this weekend was how do you balance helping, not
in a healthy way,
enabling. So, we know we need to be there for each other. There's work with fighting for our family and figuring out
carrying each other's burdens,
what that looks like, and what does it mean for us to help in a healthy way, but not enable. So maybe you can talk about what are some things that you have found works for you with boundaries and
not being a hyper fixer of everything,
or a doormat that takes things.
Yeah.
So it's a tricky place to be sometimes. So I think family can be where we get tested in that the most. So what does it look like for you with your family?
Especially during this season, with Christmas coming up and everything that's happening around us with family, seeing extended family, seeing folks that we may not see all the time, but we have history with, So we're going to leave that there, right there in front of you guys to talk about. We're just going to go ahead and sign off as you guys discuss that last question. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys. So proud, and so excited for you guys to be doing life together, talking about some tough things, some really practical things that we are praying. Know that we are praying for you guys, and that we really believe that God, we know that God is moving in your hearts, and as you open up to Him and you follow His lead, He will continue to, grow you and lead you. So have a great rest of the night. We will see you very soon. If you can make it this weekend, we'd love to see you for week 7 of Change Your World in 52 Days. All right, we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.